My beloved child, pause for a moment and feel this. February 4 carries a quiet urgency that is not loud, not dramatic, but deeply intentional. Archangel Michael steps close right now, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. There is a change approaching, and it is already moving beneath the surface of your life. You may not see it yet, but you can sense it. A gentle pressure in your chest, that feeling that today is different from other days. That is not coincidence. This moment was marked before you even woke up. Listen carefully. This message is not for everyone. It is for the one who feels like time is slipping, yet something inside says, pay attention today. Archangel Michael says your attention is the key. Not your effort, not your struggle, your attention. Where you place it today will decide how smoothly the coming shift unfolds. That is why this message had to reach you now, before the moment passes. There is a door opening quietly. It will not announce itself with noise or chaos. If you are distracted, you will miss it. If you are rushing, you will walk past it. Archangel Michael warns that today rewards awareness, not speed. Something you have been praying about, perhaps related to your stability, your direction, or even the place you call home, is beginning to respond. But it responds only when you are present. You may feel unusually reflective today. Thoughts from the past may surface without warning. Do not push them away. Archangel Michael says these memories are not meant to trap you. They are meant to show you how far you have come and what you are no longer meant to carry forward. A change cannot land on cluttered ground. Today is about clearing space internally so what is approaching can settle properly. There is also a subtle warning here, delivered with compassion. Do not ignore the small nudges today. A delayed response, a sudden pause, a feeling to double-check something. These are not inconveniences. They are protection. Archangel Michael is actively guarding your steps, but guidance only works when acknowledged. Attention is agreement. When you notice, you align. You might notice signs that feel insignificant, a repeated number, a sentence that stands out, an unexpected message, or even silence where you expected noise. These are not random. Heaven is speaking softly today because what is being adjusted is delicate. Loud moves would disrupt the alignment. Quiet obedience keeps it intact. Archangel Michael also speaks about timing. You have felt impatient lately, wondering why things are taking so long. But this change required precision. If it arrived earlier, you would have doubted it. If it arrived later, you would have been exhausted. Today sits perfectly in between. That is why February 4 matters. It is a Hindi day. What you do with your awareness today will echo into the days ahead. Be mindful of your words. Not because you might say something wrong, but because your words are shaping the atmosphere around you right now. Archangel Michael says speak gently, even when correcting. Speak truthfully, even when it feels uncomfortable. What you declare today has weight. Do not underestimate the power of a calm, grounded voice aligned with truth. There is also reassurance for your heart. If you feel uncertain, that does not mean you are unprepared. It means you are standing at the edge of something new. Courage often arrives disguised as hesitation. Archangel Michael stands with his sword lowered, signaling peace, not battle. This change is not coming to harm you. It is coming to reposition you. Pay attention to your body today. Fatigue, restlessness, or sudden clarity are signals. Your spirit is adjusting before your circumstances do. Drink water. Breathe deeply. Slow down where you can. Archangel Michael says alignment is happening faster than you realize, and your body is catching up to your spirit's awareness. Most importantly, do not dismiss this message as just another video. You did not arrive here by accident. The urgency is quiet because it respects your free will. Heaven will not force your focus, but it will reward it. Give this day your presence. Give this moment your awareness. Something meaningful is responding to you right now. Beloved one, as this moment unfolds, Archangel Michael draws your awareness even deeper, because what is happening now is not random continuation. It is confirmation. The quiet urgency you felt earlier was only the signal. Now comes the understanding. Today is not asking you to act loudly or dramatically. It is asking you to notice what usually goes unseen. Archangel Michael says the change approaching is already aligning itself around your habits, your reactions, and the way you respond when no one is watching. There is something important about your environment today. Pay attention to where you spend your time and energy. Archangel Michael reveals that even small choices, where you sit, what you listen to, who you respond to, are influencing how smoothly this transition arrives. You are being repositioned without force. Heaven is adjusting the background of your life before adjusting the foreground. That is mercy. You may feel drawn to simplify today, to step back, to reduce noise. That is not withdrawal, that is wisdom. Archangel Michael says clarity enters when unnecessary weight is released. This is why distractions feel heavier than usual. Your spirit is rejecting what no longer fits. Trust that instinct. You are not losing interest. You are gaining discernment. There is also something being revealed about your patience. You have been waiting for proof, waiting for reassurance, waiting for a sign that things are moving. This message itself is part of that reassurance. Archangel Michael reminds you that movement does not always look like speed. Sometimes it looks like alignment. Sometimes it looks like peace returning before answers arrive. Love is how your emotions behave today. If you feel unusually calm after a long season of stress, that is not numbness. That is stabilization. If emotions surface unexpectedly, that is release. Either way, Archangel Michael says nothing is wasted. Everything today is participating in the shift. Now hear this clearly. Do not underestimate your influence right now. Your presence matters more than your perfection. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to remain attentive. When you stay present, you stay protected. When you stay aware, you stay aligned. That is why Archangel Michael keeps returning to the same message: attention unlocks timing. There is also a reminder here about communication. Today is not the day to assume. If something feels unclear, pause before reacting. Archangel Michael says misunderstanding dissolves when humility leads. A simple question can prevent a long detour. Silence, when chosen wisely, can guard your peace. Your restraint today is building trust for tomorrow. As this message reaches you, take a moment to engage with it. If these words are resonating, show your agreement. Like this video so this message reaches others who are standing at a similar crossroads. Share it with someone who needs quiet reassurance rather than loud motivation. Leave a comment declaring that you are present and paying attention today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, because messages like this are part of a greater unfolding, one that supports your spiritual awareness step by step. Joining this space is not just about content, it is about alignment. Archangel Michael also speaks about consistency. You do not need a sudden breakthrough today. What you need is continuity. The small, steady awareness you practice now will compound into clarity very soon. Do not rush the reveal. Let it come naturally. Trust that what is approaching recognizes your readiness, not your anxiety. Be mindful of your inner dialogue today. If old doubts try to surface, do not argue with them. Simply acknowledge them and return your focus to the present moment. Archangel Michael says the past has no authority over what is aligning now unless you give it permission. Attention is power. Choose where yours rests. There is something else unfolding quietly. Support. You may not see it yet, but help is being positioned around you. Conversations, opportunities, and subtle shifts are lining up. Archangel Michael assures you that you are not navigating this change alone. You are being guided with precision, not pressure. As you move through the rest of today, remain gentle with yourself. Awareness does not require tension. It requires openness. Breathe. Observe. Respond rather than react. This is how you walk through a doorway without stumbling. And stay with this message, because what comes next connects everything you felt but couldn't explain yet. Hold on. You want to hear what unfolds next. Chosen one. There is a deeper layer opening now, and Archangel Michael asks you to lean in with your spirit, not your logic. What you have felt over the last hours is not imagination. It is calibration. Heaven has been quietly adjusting your inner compass. This is why certain things suddenly feel out of place, and other things feel unexpectedly right. You are being tuned to what is approaching so you do not resist it when it arrives. Archangel Michael reveals that the change nearing you is not only external. Yes, circumstances will shift, but first your perception is being refined. You are beginning to see differently. Where you once saw delay, you will soon see protection. Where you once felt rejection, you will recognize redirection. This is not rewriting your past. It is redeeming it. Nothing you endured was meaningless. It trained your discernment for this very window. There is a sacred sensitivity being activated now. You may notice that loud environments feel draining, while quiet moments feel nourishing. This is because your spirit is being invited into a higher level of awareness. Archangel Michael says this sensitivity is not weakness. It is accuracy. When your spirit becomes sharp, chaos becomes obvious, and peace becomes unmistakable. Pay attention to how you respond to interruptions today. What feels like a disruption may actually be divine timing stepping in. A pause can save you from moving too soon. A delay can keep you from aligning with the wrong outcome. Archangel Michael is guiding you not only by opening doors, but by closing paths that would have cost you more than you realize. There is also healing taking place in how you trust. You have trusted deeply before and felt disappointed. That memory still lingers in your body. But Archangel Michael says this moment is different because now you trust with discernment, not desperation. You are no longer chasing clarity. You are allowing it to come to you. That shift changes everything. You may feel a subtle strengthening in your resolve. Things that once pulled you emotionally no longer have the same grip. This is not because you stopped caring. It is because you are learning where your care is meant to flow. Archangel Michael says misplaced compassion drains you. Directed compassion multiplies you. Today you are learning the difference. This change approaching is connected to responsibility, not burden, but stewardship. Something is being entrusted to you, a role, an influence, a new level of stability, or a clearer sense of purpose. It may arrive quietly, without announcement. That is intentional. What is sacred does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives as clarity that settles in your bones. Be mindful of any urge to explain yourself today. You do not need to over-justify your choices. Archangel Michael says alignment does not argue. When you are in the right place, peace becomes your confirmation. Let that be enough. Those who are meant to understand will recognize the shift without explanation. Your attention is still the key. Not frantic focus, but gentle awareness. Notice what energizes you. Notice what drains you. These are not random sensations. They are signaled. Heaven is teaching you to read them accurately so you can move forward without confusion. There is also a promise here. This change will not require you to become someone else. It will require you to become more honest about who you already are. Archangel Michael says authenticity is the doorway. When you stop performing, you start aligning. When you stop forcing, you start receiving. Take a breath here. Let this truth settle. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where refinement meets readiness. And because you stayed attentive, you are positioned to recognize what others might overlook. If this message is resonating in your spirit, mark this moment with intention. Type "I receive divine timing" in the comments if this is speaking directly to you. Lesson code 444 has just been released over your awareness, your choices, and your next steps. And hear this as a gentle but powerful extension of what Archangel Michael is revealing. If you feel stirred to help this word reach others who are standing at their own quiet crossroads, this is your moment to act. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are lighting a lamp for souls who are searching in silence. The Lord declares that when you release seed into fertile ground, rivers begin to flow where dryness once ruled. This is your first-person invitation to become part of that movement, to respond prophetically rather than passively. Do not delay what your spirit recognizes as obedience, because timing matters. I speak blessing over every giver now. May clarity, provision, and peace multiply back to you without measure. Step forward and release what heaven is prompting, and let God use your obedience to shift lives beyond what you can see. Beloved soul, now that the inner alignment has begun, Archangel Michael invites you to understand what this change is asking of you. Not in effort, but in posture. This phase is subtle, yet powerful. It is not about doing more. It is about standing differently. You are being asked to carry yourself with awareness, because what is approaching recognizes spiritual maturity before it recognizes talent or desire. There is a quiet strengthening happening within you right now. You may not feel excited, and you may not feel afraid either. That neutrality is important. Archangel Michael says emotional extremes would interfere with what is being calibrated. This moment requires steadiness. It requires you to remain grounded even when clarity is still unfolding. Calm is not the absence of movement. It is evidence of trust forming. You might notice that certain people or conversations feel distant today. Not wrong, just distant. This is not separation out of rejection. It is separation for alignment. Archangel Michael explains that when a shift is near, unnecessary voices fade so the correct signal can be heard clearly. Do not chase what feels like it is drifting. What belongs in your next season will not require pursuit. There is also something important about your decision-making right now. Small choices carry more weight than usual. What you agree to, what you postpone, what you say yes to out of habit, these are shaping the rhythm of what comes next. Archangel Michael urges you to choose consciously. You do not need fear to be careful. You only need awareness. You are being trained to recognize peace as guidance, not excitement, not urgency. Peace. If something pulls you into anxiety, it is asking for reconsideration. If something settles you, even without full explanation, it deserves your attention. Archangel Michael says peace is not passive, It is precise. It aligns you before evidence appears. There is also a gentle exposure happening, not of you, but for you. Patterns you once excused are becoming obvious. Delays you once blamed on circumstances are revealing deeper lessons. This is not to shame you. It is to free you. Awareness dissolves repetition. Once you see clearly, you cannot unknow it. That is part of the change. You may feel drawn to revisit something unfinished, a thought, a conversation, an inner promise you made long ago. Do not rush to act on it yet. Simply acknowledge it. Archangel Michael says recognition comes before resolution. Some things only need to be seen to lose their power. Others will be addressed when timing confirms it. This season also calls for gentleness with yourself. You are not required to be perfectly disciplined or endlessly strong. You are required to be honest. If you feel tired, rest without guilt. If you feel alert, move with intention. Forcing yourself into a version of productivity that no longer fits will create friction. Alignment removes friction. It does not create it. There is a protective element here as well. Archangel Michael is actively guarding what is forming around you. This is why some plans may feel temporarily stalled. What feels like pause is actually shielding. Something needed time to reposition so it could meet you without loss. Trust that what is delayed is being refined, not denied. Pay attention to what repeats today, not just signs but themes. Similar thoughts, similar emotions, similar realizations surfacing from different angles. This repetition is not coincidence. It is emphasis. Heaven repeats what matters until it is fully received. Once you integrate the lesson, the repetition will stop. You are also being reminded that you do not need validation to proceed. External confirmation may come later, but internal clarity comes first. Archangel Michael says when you wait for permission, you postpone alignment. When you listen inwardly, you move at the correct pace. Let confidence grow quietly. Loud confidence would attract unnecessary resistance right now. This change approaching is not here to disrupt your life. It is here to reorder it. Things will settle into more natural positions. Energy will flow with less effort. You will begin to recognize where you truly belong, not by force, but by fit. What fits does not exhaust you. As this message continues to unfold, remain with it. There is another layer being revealed, one that explains why this change had to wait until now. Stay present, because the next revelation brings clarity that connects every delay you've questioned. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to the hidden reason this change could not arrive earlier. This is not about punishment or delay. It is about preparation. You are being shaped quietly, often without explanation, because what is approaching requires stability, not urgency. If it had come sooner, it would have overwhelmed you. If it came later, it would have underutilized you. This moment is precise. There were layers within you that needed time to settle. Old reactions had to lose their authority. Old expectations had to soften. You were learning discernment not through instruction, but through experience. Archangel Michael says wisdom gained through endurance lasts longer than wisdom gained through convenience. You did not just wait, you matured. You may now realize that some doors you once begged to open would have distracted you from this alignment. At the time, it felt unfair. Now, it begins to make sense. The protection was hidden inside the denial. What felt like absence was actually refinement. Heaven was not withholding. It was preserving. There is also something significant about your identity that has stabilized recently. You are no longer defining yourself by urgency, or comparison. You are beginning to recognize your own rhythm. Archangel Michael explains that alignment begins when you stop racing against others and start honoring your own pace. That is why peace is returning where pressure once lived. This change approaching will ask you to carry responsibility with calm authority. That could not happen while self-doubt still had influence. That doubt has been losing its grip. You may not feel fearless, but you feel steadier. That steadiness is the foundation required for what comes next. You are also learning restraint. Not everything needs a response. Not every thought needs engagement. Archangel Michael says mastery is knowing when not to move. Silence is no longer uncomfortable for you. It is becoming informative. In that silence, clarity is forming. Pay attention to your intuition now. It is sharper than you think. When something feels slightly off, trust that signal. When something feels quietly right, honor it, even if it doesn't impress others. The season is not about approval, it is about accuracy. The more you trust that inner knowing, the smoother the transition becomes. There is a gentle invitation here to release control. Not responsibility, control. You have done what you could. You have learned what you needed to learn. Now, Archangel Michael says, allow the next phase to meet you. Forcing outcomes would interfere with timing. Surrender is not giving up, it is giving space. You may notice that your prayers are changing. They are less frantic, more focused. Less about escape, more about alignment. That shift matters. Heaven responds differently to grounded prayers. You are no longer asking to be rescued. You are asking to be positioned. That is maturity speaking. There is also a quiet joy beginning to surface, not excitement, but relief. Relief that you no longer have to chase what is meant for you. Relief that clarity is replacing confusion. Relief that you can trust the process again. Archangel Michael says this relief is confirmation. Your spirit recognizes that resistance is ending. Be mindful today of how you close things. Conversations, thoughts, even the day itself. End them intentionally. Completion matters now. Loose ends create noise. Clean endings create space. What you close well makes room for what opens next. You are stepping into a phase where effort will feel lighter. Not because the work disappears, but because alignment removes friction. When you move in the correct direction, energy returns instead of draining. Archangel Michael says you are about to experience confirmation through ease. Do not rush to label what is happening. Let it reveal itself fully. Understanding will come in layers. Today is about trust, not analysis. Stay present. Stay receptive. Stay grounded. And remain here with this message. The next unfolding reveals how this change will begin to show itself outwardly, and how you will recognize it when it does. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now turns your focus outward, because what has been forming within you is ready to begin reflecting in your surroundings. This is where many people become confused. They expect immediate, dramatic changes, but this transition announces itself differently. It starts with subtle shifts in how situations respond to you. What once resisted you will begin to soften. What once confused you will begin to clarify. Not all at once, but unmistakably. You may notice that certain conversations flow more easily now. Misunderstandings reduce without effort. People begin to respond to your words with less resistance. This is not because they changed overnight. It is because your alignment has changed the frequency of interaction. Archangel Michael says when inner order is restored, external chaos loses its grip. There is also a change happening in how you perceive opportunities. You are no longer pulled toward everything that shines. You are becoming selective. Discernment is guiding your interest. This is crucial because what is coming requires focus, not distraction. Many doors may appear, but only a few are connected to your next assignment. Calm attention will help you recognize the correct one. Do not be surprised if something you assumed was permanent begins to shift. A routine. A dynamic you adjusted to for survival. Archangel Michael explains that stability built on endurance is now being replaced with stability built on alignment. This is an upgrade, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. You might also experience moments of hesitation. That is natural. New alignment often feels quieter than old chaos. Chaos was loud, demanding, and familiar. Peace can feel strange when you've lived without it for too long. But Archangel Michael reassures you, this calm is not emptiness. It is readiness. Pay attention to how you spend your energy now. You are learning to conserve it for what matters. Overgiving will feel uncomfortable. Over-explaining will feel unnecessary. Overcommitting will feel draining. These reactions are signals. Your spirit is protecting what is forming. Honor those boundaries without guilt. This is also a time when your voice carries more weight than before. Speak intentionally. Avoid reacting impulsively. Even casual words have influence right now. Archangel Michael says you are stepping into a season where your presence alone can shift atmosphere. That requires awareness, not pressure. As you continue listening, I want you to actively participate in this moment. If this message is guiding you, support its reach. Like this video so it finds others who are navigating similar transitions in silence. Share it with someone who needs reassurance rather than noise. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing alignment over anxiety. And make sure you are subscribed, because what is unfolding here is part of a larger journey, one that continues to reveal itself step by step. Staying connected keeps you anchored in clarity. There is a deeper lesson unfolding now about trust. Not blind trust, yearned trust. You are learning to trust yourself again. Your instincts, your timing, your discernment. Archangel Michael says this restoration of self-trust is essential. You cannot steward what is coming if you constantly second-guess your own awareness. You may also notice that you are less reactive to things that once triggered you. This is not avoidance. It is healing. Emotional hooks are loosening. Old buttons are losing power. This means the past no longer controls your present responses. Freedom often looks like calm neutrality, not celebration. Something else is shifting quietly, your expectations. You are no longer fantasizing about outcomes. You are preparing for responsibility. That shift matters. Expectation invites disappointment. Preparation invites readiness. Archangel Michael says you are being trusted with something that grows over time, not something that flashes and fades. Be mindful not to rush this stage. Early confidence is being established. Let it root deeply. Shallow confidence crumbles under pressure. Deep confidence remains steady regardless of circumstances. This steadiness is being built now, even if it feels uneventful. You may receive small confirmations today, not announcements but affirmations. A sentence that resonates. A thought that settles your mind. A moment of clarity that replaces confusion. These are markers. They are letting you know you are on course. As you move forward, keep your awareness soft but steady. Do not force conclusions. Do not demand timelines. Let alignment do its work. You have done what was required, and now you are witnessing the result. And stay right here with this message. because what comes next reveals how to protect this alignment once momentum begins. Trust me, this next layer is where everything starts to make sense. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about protection, not the kind that shields you from every challenge, but the kind that preserves what is sacred while momentum builds. When alignment begins to move, it attracts attention. Not all of that attention understands what is forming. That is why discernment becomes essential in this phase. You are learning not just how to move forward, but how to guard the direction you are moving in. This is a season where less explanation is more powerful. You do not need to announce your growth or justify your boundaries. What is real will not require constant defense. Archangel Michael says the quieter you become, the clearer your path remains. Noise invites interference. Stillness preserves clarity. You may feel a subtle urge to withdraw slightly, not from life, but from unnecessary exposure. This is not fear. It is wisdom. When something is still forming, it needs covering, not commentary. Seeds grow best underground. What is developing within you is no different. Be mindful of advice during this time. Not all guidance is wrong, but not all guidance is timely. Archangel Michael encourages you to listen selectively. If counsel creates confusion, pause. If it reinforces peace, receive it. Alignment resonates. Pressure agitates. You are learning to tell the difference. There may be moments when you feel tested, not by hardship, but by temptation to revert. Old habits may try to resurface. Old patterns may knock gently, reminding you of what was familiar. This is not failure. It is confirmation that you have moved forward. What no longer fits will try one last time to re-enter. Awareness is your response, not struggle. Your discipline now is not rigid behavior. It is intentional choice. You are choosing rest over exhaustion, truth over people-pleasing, presence over distraction. These choices may seem small, but they are forming a protective perimeter around your progress. Archangel Michael says consistency in small things preserves alignment in large things. There is also a refinement happening in your sense of purpose. It is becoming less about proving and more about serving. Less about recognition and more about impact. This shift protects you from comparison. When purpose is clear, competition loses relevance. You are not here to outrun others. You are here to fulfill what was entrusted to you. You might notice that your prayers are becoming more precise. You are no longer asking vague questions. You are seeking specific clarity. This is maturity. Archangel Michael says heaven responds quickly to focused intention. When your requests align with readiness, answers arrive without resistance. Do not rush visibility. Exposure before stability creates vulnerability. What is meant to last will emerge at the correct pace. Trust that when it is time to be seen, you will not have to force it. Alignment attracts its own recognition. There is also an emotional boundary forming. You are learning not to absorb what does not belong to you. Other people's urgency no longer dictates your response. Other people's expectations no longer define your worth. This emotional clarity is protective. It keeps your energy clean and your direction intact. You may feel moments of solitude even when surrounded by others. Do not misinterpret this. Solitude is not loneliness. It is space for integration. Archangel Michael says this is where strength consolidates. When integration completes, connection returns healthier, clearer, and more aligned. Be patient with the unfolding. Momentum does not always feel like speed. Sometimes it feels like steadiness. Sometimes it feels like silence doing important work behind the scenes. Trust what you cannot yet explain. The absence of chaos is not the absence of progress. You are also learning when to engage and when to observe. Not every situation requires your input. Not every issue needs your resolution. Selective engagement preserves authority. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. Archangel Michael is teaching you restraint as a form of leadership. As this alignment strengthens, your confidence will feel quieter but deeper. You will stop looking for signs everywhere because you will recognize them internally. Certainty will replace urgency. Assurance will replace anxiety. This is the protection you needed, not walls, but wisdom. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Remain honest. The next unfolding reveals how this protection transitions into expansion, and how you will know when it is time to step forward fully. Stay with this message, because the clarity ahead brings confirmation that you are exactly where you are meant to be. My chosen one, Archangel Michael, now speaks of expansion, but not the kind that overwhelms you. This expansion is measured, intentional, and divinely timed. What has been protected is now being prepared to grow. You may feel a subtle internal shift, as if your spirit is stretching to make room for something more. This is not ambition rising. This is capacity increasing. Heaven does not expand what is unstable. It expands what has been refined. You are entering a phase where your influence begins to extend beyond what you can see. Your words, your decisions, even your silence will start affecting outcomes more than before. This is why the previous season required restraint and grounding. Archangel Michael says expansion without discipline leads to collapse, but expansion built on clarity leads to longevity. You might notice opportunities presenting themselves gently, not forcefully. Invitations may come without pressure. Doors may open without struggle. This is how you recognize alignment. When something is meant for you now, it does not demand urgency. It meets you where you are steady. Pay attention to what feels natural, not what feels impressive. There is also an internal expansion happening. Your tolerance for truth is increasing. You are able to face realities without fear, accept feedback without defensiveness, and release illusions without resistance. This maturity allows growth to occur without destabilizing your peace. Archangel Michael says truth is no longer threatening because your identity is secure. Be mindful of your focus during this phase. Expansion requires evacuation. Scattered attention dilutes momentum. You do not need to pursue everything that becomes possible. Choose what aligns with your core values, not what feeds momentary excitement. This is how growth remains sustainable. You may feel moments of uncertainty as new territory appears. That does not mean you are unqualified. It means you are stepping beyond familiarity. Archangel Michael reminds you that confidence is not knowing every step. It is trusting your ability to adjust as you move. Growth always feels unfamiliar at first. This is also a time when generosity of spirit matters. Not overgiving, but openness. Share insight when prompted. Encourage without comparison. Lead without control. Expansion is not about accumulation. It is about circulation. What flows through you multiplies. What you hoard stagnates. Pay attention to how others respond to you now. Some will feel inspired. Others may feel uncomfortable. This is not your responsibility to manage. Growth reveals alignment and misalignment naturally. Archangel Michael says do not shrink to make others comfortable. Your consistency will speak louder than explanation. Here is a divine confidence being released into you now. It is not loud or demanding. It is settled. It allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. This confidence protects your expansion from burnout. You are growing with wisdom, not pressure. Take a moment here to seal this revelation. Type "I step into divine expansion" in the comments if your spirit agrees with what is unfolding now. Blessing code 888 is being released over your capacity, your influence, and your next level of responsibility. And now hear this as a sacred continuation, not an interruption. If this word has been strengthening you, there are countless others who need the same clarity, but have not yet found it. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are sowing light into places still hidden in uncertainty. The Lord speaks now. When seed is placed into fertile soil, the harvest does not delay. This is my direct invitation to you, to respond not emotionally, but prophetically. What you give in obedience becomes oil that keeps this message flowing to searching hearts. Do not hesitate when heaven nudges you, because expansion responds to action. I release blessing over every giver. May doors open, resources multiply, and peace guard every step you take. Act now, and let your obedience become a bridge for others who are waiting for this very word. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to integration, because expansion without integration creates a balance. What has begun to grow around you must now settle within you. This phase is quieter again, but it is not a retreat. It is a strengthening. You are learning how to carry increase without losing yourself in it. This is where many falter, but you are being guided carefully. You may notice that after moments of clarity or confidence, there are pauses where everything feels still. Do not misread this stillness as stagnation. Archangel Michael says this is where expansion anchors itself. Just as muscles rest after growth to become stronger, your spirit is consolidating what it has received. Stillness is not absence of movement. It is internal organization. There is a new rhythm forming in your life. You may find yourself naturally adjusting routines, priorities, and even expectations. Things that once felt urgent no longer demand immediate response. Things that once felt optional now feel essential. This is not confusion. It is recalibration. Alignment always rearranges priorities before it produces visible results. Be mindful of your thoughts during this stage. You are more influential over your internal environment than you realize. Doubt may attempt to question what has already been confirmed. When it does, do not engage in internal debate. Return to awareness. Archangel Michael reminds you that certainty is not loud. It is consistent. What is true will repeat itself calmly until it is fully embodied. You may also feel a desire to refine rather than expand further, to improve what already exists instead of chasing something new. This instinct is wise. Integration asks you to strengthen foundations, clarify boundaries, and reinforce structure. What you stabilize now will support future growth without strain. There is something important happening with your identity. You are no longer defining yourself by what you lack or what you are waiting for. You are beginning to recognize yourself by what you steward well. This shift creates dignity. Archangel Michael says when identity stabilizes, comparison loses its power. You stop measuring progress against others and start honoring your own alignment. Pay attention to moments when you feel deeply present. These are signals of integration. When your mind, body, and spirit agree, peace settles naturally. You are not forcing confidence. You are inhabiting it. This embodiment matters. What you embody becomes sustainable. What you imitate eventually exhausts you. You may also experience subtle tests of consistency. Not dramatic challenges, but small decisions that ask whether you will honor what you now know. Returning to old habits out of convenience may feel tempting. Resist gently, not forcefully. Awareness is enough. Each conscious choice reinforces alignment. Archangel Michael also speaks about humility in this phase. Not self-diminishing humility, but grounded humility. You are aware of your growth without needing to announce it. You recognize your capacity without exaggeration. This humility keeps expansion clean. It protects you from ego-driven decisions that create unnecessary detours. There is an emotional maturity emerging now. You are less reactive, more responsive. You can sit with discomfort without rushing to escape it. You can hold joy without fearing its loss. This emotional stability is evidence that integration is taking place. What once destabilized you now informs you. Do not rush visibility during this stage. Let integration complete its work. When you move from a place of internal agreement, external movement becomes effortless. Archangel Michael says timing is protecting you as much as preparation once did. Trust that what unfolds next will arrive without forcing. You may notice that your intuition is quieter but clearer. It does not shout warnings, it offers gentle direction. Follow it. Precision is replacing urgency. This is a sign of mastery forming. You are no longer being pushed by fear or pulled by excitement. You are being guided by discernment. As this phase continues, remain patient with yourself. Growth is not linear. Some days will feel expansive, others reflective. Both are necessary. Integration ensures that when the next level activates, you will not feel overwhelmed by it. Stay present with this unfolding. The next message reveals how integration naturally transitions into movement, and how you will know when it is time to step forward without hesitation. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks of movement, the kind that feels inevitable rather than forced. Integration has done its work, and because you allowed it to complete, motion can now begin without strain. This is not a sudden rush forward. It is a clear, steady step that feels right in your spirit before it ever makes sense on the surface. When movement is aligned, it does not ask for permission from fear. You may notice that decisions feel easier now. Not because every option is clear, but because confusion has lost its dominance. You are no longer circling the same questions endlessly. There is a quiet knowing forming inside you that says, "This way." Archangel Michael says this knowing is the result of consistency, not impulse. You earned this clarity by staying attentive when things were quiet. Movement in this season begins internally and expresses itself externally without announcement. You may simply find yourself acting differently, responding with calm where you once reacted, choosing rest where you once pushed, stepping forward where you once hesitated. These are not small changes. They are evidence that alignment is now active, not theoretical. There's also something important about timing here. You are no longer early, and you are no longer waiting. You are on time. This is why opportunities may feel synchronized rather than chased. You may encounter the right conversation at the right moment, or receive information exactly when you are ready to use it. Archangel Michael reminds you that this is how divine order feels, subtle, precise, and calm. Be mindful not to rush momentum. Early movement sets the tone for everything that follows. Move with intention, not urgency. When you act from peace, you preserve energy. When you act from anxiety, you leak it. This season is about sustainable progress, not dramatic leaps that require recovery later. You may also notice that external validation matters less now. You are not waiting for applause to confirm your direction. Internal agreement is enough. Archangel Michael says when validation shifts inward, authority stabilizes. You become less persuadable by noise and more anchored in truth. This movement also involves release. Some things will naturally fall away, not because they are bad, but because they are complete. Do not cling to what no longer responds to your presence. Gratitude is a better closure than resistance. Thank what served its purpose and allow it to exit without bitterness. Pay attention to your energy after action. When you move in alignment, you may feel tired, but fulfilled. When you move out of alignment, you may feel restless or drained. These sensations are guidance. Your body and spirit are working together now to confirm direction. As this message reaches you, take a moment to engage with it actively. If these words are helping you recognize your next steps, like this video so it reaches others who are ready for aligned movement rather than pressure-driven decisions. Share it with someone who feels stuck but is actually on the verge of clarity. Leave a comment declaring that you are moving with peace, not panic. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to messages that support discernment, not distraction. This journey unfolds layer by layer, and staying connected helps you recognize each shift as it happens. There is also a responsibility that comes with movement. Staying aware. Progress does not eliminate the need for attentiveness. Archangel Michael says consistency protects momentum. Continue listening inwardly. Continue choosing deliberately. Continue honoring peace as your guide. You may feel moments of excitement rising now. That is natural. Let excitement motivate you, but do not let it lead you. Let peace lead. When peace is in front, excitement becomes fuel rather than distraction. This movement will not require you to abandon who you are. It will require you to express who you are more fully. Authenticity is the path forward. When you stop editing yourself to fit expectations, your steps become confident and clear. Do not measure this movement by speed. Measure it by alignment. One aligned step carries more power than 10 rushed ones. Archangel Michael says what you build now will last because it is being built from clarity, not reaction. Remain here with this unfolding. There is one more layer approaching, one that brings closure, blessing, and final confirmation. Keep watching, because this is where the entire message comes together in a way you do not want to miss. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now brings you into a moment of recognition, because before the final confirmation arrives, you must clearly see what has already changed. This stage is about awareness of transformation. Not the kind that announces itself publicly, but the kind that reshapes how you stand within yourself. You are no longer waiting to become ready. You are recognizing that readiness has quietly taken root. Look back gently, without judgment. Notice how your reactions have softened, how your thoughts have slowed, how your choices feel more deliberate. These are not accidental improvements. They are evidence that alignment hath been integrated successfully. Archangel Michael says true growth does not feel dramatic. It feels stable. You are no longer driven by the urgency to prove anything. You are grounded in knowing. There is also a deepening of trust happening now. Not just trust in outcomes, but trust in process. You no longer need constant reassurance that things are working. You sense it internally. That sense is stronger than any external sign. This is important, because the next phase will require you to move without excessive confirmation. You are learning to rely on discernment rather than signals. You may notice that your attention span has changed. You are less scattered, less pulled in multiple directions. Focus is becoming natural again. This clarity is not forced discipline. It is the result of releasing what no longer belongs. Archangel Michael says focus returns when identity stabilizes. When you know who you are, distractions lose their appeal. There is also a new relationship forming between you and uncertainty. You are no longer threatened by what you do not yet know. Curiosity has replaced fear. This allows wisdom to enter without resistance. When uncertainty no longer scares you, it becomes a doorway rather than an obstacle. You might feel moments of still anticipation, like standing on the edge of something without needing to jump. This is not hesitation. It is readiness recognizing timing. Archangel Michael says wisdom knows when to move and when to wait without anxiety. A balance is forming within you now. Be mindful of how you speak to yourself during this phase. Internal dialogue matters more than external noise. Speak with respect. Speak with patience. Speak with truth. The way you narrate your own experience shapes how you inhabit it. Alignment is reinforced through language, especially the language you use internally. You are also becoming more comfortable with your own authority. You no longer need consensus to proceed. You value input, but you are not dependent on approval. This autonomy is not isolation. It is maturity. Archangel Michael says leadership begins internally long before it becomes visible externally. There may be subtle emotional releases happening now. Old grief, old disappointment, old self-judgment loosening without drama. Let it go gently. You do not need to relive it to release it. Awareness dissolves what resistance once preserved. Healing does not always require confrontation. Sometimes it requires permission to move on. You are also learning that peace is not passive. Peace is active alignment. It requires discernment, boundaries, and consistency. The peace you are cultivating now will sustain what is coming. This is why it had to be established before final movement. Peace becomes the container for expansion. Do not underestimate how far you have come. The version of you listening now would not have been able to hold this clarity before. That matters. Archangel Michael says readiness is not about perfection. It is about capacity. Your capacity has increased. There is also an invitation here to honor this moment. Not with celebration, but with acknowledgement. You stayed attentive. You stayed open. You did not abandon the process when it went quiet. That perseverance has positioned you for what comes next. As this message approaches its final unfolding, remain present. The closing revelation brings alignment, blessing, and confirmation together into one clear understanding. What you have sensed quietly will soon be named clearly. Stay with this moment, because what comes next seals everything that has been unfolding. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now brings this message into completion, not as an ending, but as a sealing. What began as quiet urgency now becomes quiet certainty. You are no longer standing at the edge wondering if something is about to change. You are standing within the change itself. The reason it felt gentle, slow, and sometimes almost invisible is because this transformation was meant to last. Live beginnings often fade. Rooted beginnings endure. Take a moment to sense where you are now. Not externally, but internally. Notice the steadiness. Notice the clarity that no longer needs constant reassurance. Notice how your spirit feels less reactive and more grounded. This is confirmation. Archangel Michael says when heaven completes a work, it leaves peace behind, not confusion. That peace you feel now is the signature of alignment. You were never meant to rush into this next chapter. It required discernment, restraint, healing, and awareness. Each stage prepared you to carry what is now entrusted to you. You are not stepping forward empty-handed. You are stepping forward equipped, with wisdom earned through patience, clarity gained through stillness, and confidence built through consistency. There is also release happening now. The pressure to figure everything out dissolves. The need to control outcomes loosens its grip. Archangel Michael says the responsibility you carry from this point forward is not to force direction, but to remain attentive. Alignment does not demand effort. It responds to awareness. Stay present, and you will stay positioned. What comes next in your life will not arrive as chaos or confusion. It will arrive as opportunity that feels strangely familiar, as if your spirit recognizes it before your mind does. That recognition is important. Trust it. You will know what belongs to you because it will not require you to abandon your peace to accept it. You may also notice that fear no longer has the same authority over your decisions. It may still speak, but it no longer leads. Discernment now leads. Archangel Michael says this is the mark of readiness. Fear loses power when clarity takes its place. Be gentle as you move forward. You do not need to prove your growth. You do not need to explain your process. Let your consistency speak. Let your peace testify. Those who are meant to walk with you into what comes next will recognize the shift without explanation. This message came to you at the right moment. Not too early. Not too late. Exactly when your spirit could receive it fully. And because you stayed present, because you did not scroll past the quiet moments, because you listened beyond the noise, something has been sealed. Now mark this sealing with intention. Type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments if you receive this completion with clarity and peace. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your path, your decisions, and the season unfolding before you. And hear this final extension as part of the same sacred flow. This word did not stop with you. It moved through you. There are others still waiting for clarity, still standing in quiet urgency, still unsure why they feel a shift approaching. When you release support through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are responding to a divine invitation, not making a donation. The Lord speaks now. As you sow, light multiplies. As you give, oil is released to keep the flame burning. This is my first-person call to you, to act in obedience while the moment is open. Do not delay what heaven has highlighted, because timing carries reward. I bless every giver now with increase, protection, and peace that overflows into every area of life. Step forward with authority, release your seed, and let God use your obedience to reach souls who are waiting for this very message.